I'm Reverend J. Stewart Glover, and you are listening to Faith Talk. Today, I want to offer a brief reflection from the Gospel according to Luke, chapter 5, verses 17 through 19. It's a well-known story, one that still speaks powerfully to our lives today. Let me read it for you. One day, Jesus was teaching, and Pharisees and teachers of the law were sitting there. They had come from every village of Galilee and from Judea and Jerusalem, and the power of the Lord was with Jesus to heal the sick. Some men came carrying a paralyzed man on a mat and tried to take him into the house to lay him before Jesus. When they could not find a way to do this because of the crowd, they went up on the roof and lowered him on his mat through the tiles into the middle of the crowd right in front of Jesus. I want to speak today from the theme perseverance in the face of adversity. This story shines a bright light on the perseverance of a few faithful men whose mission was not stopped by obstacles that stood in their way. No, they pressed forward, seeking healing, restoration, and justice for their friend who could not help himself. And as we reflect on this passage, we are reminded that those of us who are gifted with strength and wellness have been gifted by God. And with those gifts comes a calling to work together as a community of faith, to carry the burdens of the suffering, the afflicted, the marginalized, the despised, and the forgotten. Now, we carry each other's burdens through our prayers, through our advocating for justice, and through our practical acts of compassion. So Luke tells us that Jesus was teaching and that some men came carrying a paralyzed man on a mat. The man is nameless in this story. We meet him only through the description of his condition, his physical paralysis, and what was believed at the time to be his spiritual condition. In that world, illness was often linked to sin. So this man lived not only with physical limitations, but also with social and religious stigma. He had lost the freedom to move, to work, and even to participate fully in his community of faith. But thank God for the people in his life, people whose hearts were free enough to care, free enough to act, and free enough to believe that Jesus could heal him. I want to let you know that it's good to have people in your life who are willing to carry you when you cannot carry yourself. And it is just as important that you be that kind of person for someone else. There is a blessing in accompanying another person on their journey toward healing, restoration, and justice. But this journey wasn't easy, for the scripture tells us that when they arrived at the house, the crowd was too thick. People were packed inside. People were pressed around the door, and there was no easy way in. And yet, these men did not give up. They were driven by a holy desire for their friend's well-being. Their hearts were filled with determination, not despair. Their faith didn't collapse when things got difficult. So they looked for another way. They climbed the roof. They opened the tiles on the roof, and they lowered their friend right into the presence of Jesus. So the question is, what can this possibly mean for us today? Well, it can mean a lot of things, but this story certainly reminds us that we, who have been strengthened and blessed by God, have a spiritual responsibility to one another. We're called to persevere, not only for ourselves, but on behalf of those who cannot press forward on their own. We are called to be that community of faith that carries the suffering, the marginalized, the overlooked, and the forgotten into the healing presence of Christ through prayer, through advocating for justice, and through tangible acts of love. In a world that seems to have closed hearts to the suffering, may we have the same courage, the same creativity, and the same perseverance as those faithful friends, pressing past every obstacle so that someone else might experience the healing grace of God. I'm Reverend J. Stewart Glover. You're listening to Faith Talk. Please like and share this message with friends and family. These episodes are available on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, YouTube, and other podcast platforms. I'm reminded of the words of my grandmother who told me, Jay, when you feel good, do good. God bless you, and I'll see you next time.